Good morning. This is day 2 of the 30-day challenge of using a glucose meter as a fuel gauge. This is something I've been doing for 3+ years, and it's worked very well for me to manage my weight and my wellness. And so I am starting today's video collection of recordings to show you what it looks like to participate in one of these 30-day challenges. And in the video description box, I will put all kinds of links to anything that I mention here, such as the glucose meter that I use is a Dario. It costs me $200 a year for unlimited test strips. And every time I test, I always use at least 2 test strips, sometimes 3, sometimes 5. The reason being, when I get a number, I test and take a second number to see if my glucose reading is within 3 digits of range. I don't like a wide range of digits because then I don't have confidence I have the right number. So I'm starting first thing in the morning with my waking glucose number. And I'm doing this challenge while I'm away from home and away from my own kitchen and my own life. I'm adapting my life to our eldest child's life. I'm in California helping our daughter with some childcare needs for the next month. So, I chose to do the challenge during this time because I want to demonstrate that you do not have to live your normal day-to-day life in order to do a health challenge like this, in order to be healthy. I can still make healthy choices even if it's not my normal routine, my normal life that I would be living. So anyway, with all of that said, I think I've covered enough introduction for day 2 of a 30-day health and wellness challenge using a glucose meter as my fuel gauge. And now I'm going to take my morning fasting numbers and show you what that looks like. I'm sitting at my granddaughter's art table, and here's my Dario. This is my whole meter kit. I'm going to pull off the cap and pull out 3 test strips. 1, 2, let's bring that back, 3, and then I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to use this little button, I guess, slide, and pull that back so that that pops up my meter. There's my meter. Oh, there's an extra test strip that flipped out. Okay, so I'm going to plug my meter into the bottom of my phone, and then I'm going to touch my Dario app and open that up, and it's asking me, oh, I wish I could, it doesn't show on the screen. The lighting's bad, I'm sorry. Okay, it says insert a new test strip. So pull a test strip, set that there, and now I'm going to use the lancing device on the Dario. I do that by sliding down this button. Nope, that's not it. That's the pop button. Okay, slide down this piece is the cocking device here, and use the button to push while I stick my finger on top here and stab, and then I pull up a little drop of blood. I'm going to stick the pipette end into the drop of blood and wait for my number to come up. It's circling around. You can't see it in the screen. 80. Okay, that is a really good morning fasting number for me. So I'm going to touch the arrow to record that button, And now I'm going to take a second number because I want to verify, am I really 80 or am I something else? So I'm going to stick the pipette end into the drop of blood. It is circling around and it says 77. So 77 is 3 digits away from 80. I'm just going to go ahead and take one more number because I can. I have unlimited test strips, and see what that number reads. Even though it was 3 digits apart, 4, 77, 78, 79, 80, yeah, 4. Okay. And that is reading 83. Okay, I'm going to go with 80 as being my morning fasting number this morning. Record that. Put this to... This is a chart of what optimal blood sugar ranges are, showing both in milligrams per deciliter and millimoles per liter. I don't know how else to share this chart with you, so I'm sorry you get a video clip of a screenshot. I will put a link to this chart in the description box of the video. Strip away and close that cap. Put that cap back on, pull the meter out, stick it back in the little groove here, pop it down, and there's my meter kit all back together again. Now I'm going to go ahead and record my morning fasting number in the data-driven fasting app. So I'm touching that to open it up. And this time I'm going to try to put the camera at a different angle so you can actually see the screen. Let me do that. Here is my main screen on my phone, and this is what the data-driven fasting app looks like. So let's click on that. Okay. And now I could record all kinds of things, such as, let's hit track. I can do glucose. Well, let me close that. When I hit track, I have this option of biomarkers where that's where you can really record stuff. You can select a biometric. So there's blood glucose, weight, body fat, waist measurement, blood pressure, breath ketones, or blood ketones. So all I'm going to record right now is blood glucose. I'll go back and do that at the other option screen just to show you that you can do it from both places. Close that. Okay, so I'll hit track again, and I'll hit glucose, and I'm going to choose waking. I'm going to leave the date as it is because I just took the number and I'm not putting in other numbers, so I don't have to be particular about the date right now. So I'm going to say that my morning glucose value was 80, and I'm not going to add any notes right now. So it could be as simple as that. I just put in my morning waking value and hit done, and then I need to make sure that I do record it by touching this blue record button. Okay, so yesterday when I showed the video to you, it said 145 pounds, and that was before I put in my morning weight yesterday, which was 144.4. And this morning I cannot yet weigh because I'm looking for my Renfro bathroom scale. Let me turn the screen around here. After my granddaughter wakes up, I can look under the guest bed. She and I are sharing a room because this is a small home. So when she wakes up, I can look and see if my Renfro bathroom scale is under the bed that I'm sleeping in, and then I will go ahead and weigh. And the Renfro will let me know my weight and also my body fat percentage. So I will enter both of those pieces of data in the app for recording today. So that's all I need to record right now. And I'll come back and just keep adding to this video as the day goes on. I am showered and dressed, and my granddaughter has had breakfast, and we've made our beds, and we are ready to go to the library for a little outing. But while I was showering and dressing, I was looking for the Renfro bathroom scale that I like to use, and I didn't find it, so I'll have to ask my daughter to rack her brain to see where she might have stored that in my absence. But I did use her digital bathroom scale. It doesn't give me body fat percentage, but that's less important information to me than the actual weight number. So this morning, I weighed 142.2. Yesterday morning, when I weighed in Texas before coming here, I weighed 144.4, and that weight, I think you might have, I mentioned it at some point in either yesterday's video or today's video. So now I will show you on the app, the data-driven app, how to enter the weight on a bathroom scale, how to enter the weight into the data for the app, so I can track that during the 30-day challenge. Okay, so here we go for that. I'm going to touch the app icon and open that up, and then I'm going to hit track and biomarkers. Glucose just records glucose, but biomarkers, you can record everything. So I select a biometric, and that would be weight, and I'm going to enter a value of 142.2 and record. Okay, now if I want to check that if my recording has gone in correctly, I can hit navigate. So I'm going to hit the navigate button, and I'm going to touch on history in the menu, and there's my weight. I recorded it. Now I would like all of my waking numbers to show the same. So what I'm going to do is my waking number this morning, let's see, July 16th waking was the 80, and that was, I recorded it at 6:55 a.m. So I can use these three dots right here to touch that, and that will let me adjust the date and time information. So I touch on that bar here, and I can, the date is right, 16th, and I need to touch the little clock icon, and then I need to dial up the time to 55. There's that. It shows AM, and I also want to make sure my hour is correct. So now I need to dial that down to 6:55 a.m., and I hit the blue update button. Okay, so now my waking glucose was 80, my weight this morning 142.2, and that's a 2-pound drop from yesterday. So let me explain that just a second. Many factors affect our weight from day to day. The reason I believe I had a 2-pound drop from yesterday to today is because yesterday I did not eat as much food as I normally would if I were home. I was traveling, and I just packed things that I could eat simply on the plane from there to here. And so what I consumed yesterday was 2 packages that were 6 ounces each of lean turkey meat, sliced deli turkey meat, and a box of Persian cucumbers that I picked up at Trader Joe's before I traveled. And 2 of those, I call them gingerbread squares, snack cakes. Now, the fuel, another reason I had a 2-pound loss is because I only had one fuel yesterday. So my body only had to deal with one fuel in the entire day. So that's a weight advantage, or an advantage to improving our weight numbers. But also, I didn't have anything that would be inflammatory for my body. I'm being called. The granddaughter is ready to get off the toilet. Just a minute. Okay, I'm back. So I didn't have any cheap processed flour foods in my diet yesterday. I will put in the description box the recipe for that cake that I made. It started with a baking blend mix that I found from Elena, I don't know how to pronounce her name, Cordoba. She goes by Sweet Ease. Anyway, the link to the recipe, to her website, will be in the description box. And then I will also put a link to, that's for the flour mixture that I used. And then for the actual recipe that I used, I'll put that recipe link in the description box. It will take you to my Plan to Eat collection of recipes. But you don't need a subscription to that Plan to Eat because I'm giving you a direct link to one specific recipe. So that will be there. Anyway, yesterday was a light eating day for me, and it shows in my bathroom scale numbers. The other thing is in my advantage, I haven't had any processed foods for a number of days. The last time I had processed food junk was in Vermont. I think that was the last day. And I came home from Vermont on the 9th, and today is the 16th. So my body has cleared out all that stuff. When you eat processed food, it negatively affects your blood glucose numbers. They do not fall as cleanly as they ought to. It just takes your body more time to deal with the food, and it shows in the glucose numbers. So here comes the granddaughter, and we're off for the library. I'm home from the library with my granddaughter, and my daughter is home. So the two of them are out playing a game right now, and their lunch is heating up, and I'm hungry. So I am going to go ahead and test my numbers and see what I see for a number. But it really doesn't matter what my number is today, because I'm still in the first days of baselining, and the purpose of baselining is to just eat as you would normally eat, not try to diet, and take your pre-meal numbers, and the app will calculate what your personal trigger number would be, what my personal trigger number will be based upon my 3 days of eating, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And yesterday I did eat very trim, healthy mama-ish, very lean-ish, fuel separating, but I was traveling, and so I wasn't trying to eat. I wasn't pushing my body hard to try to get to a trigger number because I didn't have a trigger number. I was in my first day of baselining yesterday. Today's my second day of baselining. Today is the second day of the 30-day challenge, and I will be baselining today and tomorrow before I get my trigger number. So here goes taking my glucose number to see what it is before I go ahead and eat. I need a pre-meal number to be able to enter it into the app as my data. Okay, so get out the Dario meter kit and 3 test strips. 1, 2, 3. I'll need to change my chamber here. I'll pull that out and replace that with a new chamber. Okay, so then the next thing I need to do is get out the meter. So I slide that back and pull out the meter. That's going to go into the end of my phone.
And I'm going to touch the Dario app. Oh, this time it popped up a message. Dario would like to communicate with the Dario Health Dario blood glucose monitoring system. Ignore or allow. I'm allowing, obviously. And I'm going to put a test strip in the meter. It says place a drop of blood. This is where I pull back the cocking device on the Dario. So it's ready to go. And I have a little raised button here that I will click to get a drop of blood, and just gently, if possible, get a decent drop of blood. And I'm going to touch the drop of blood to the end of the stick, to the test strip, and that sucks it up the pipette end. As soon as I get my number here, I'll take another drop of blood, 86. So I'm going to pull that out and put another test strip in. Oh, I'm going to check the check mark to record that number. And then another test strip goes in, and I'm going to try to immediately get another drop of blood. If this is all done quickly, you should only have to use one finger stick, even if you do more than one test. So that's going around and around. 90. Okay, so that's 4 digits apart. Let's raise another drop of blood. Thankfully, this finger is producing well. Check mark. Last test strip in here. Place a drop of blood. Stick the pipette end into the drop of blood. Let it suck it up. And then see what it says. 86. Was that my first number I got? Check mark. Short-term memory is not serving me well here. Oh, whoops. Back onto Dario. So it looks like I got 2 86s and a 90. I'll go back to the recordings. There's an 86, 90, 86. So that's the first number I took. 86, then the 90, then an 86. I'm going with the 86 as my glucose number. So I'm going to pull out the meter and put that, slide that back into here, pop that down. If I had I'll just stick this chamber back in here. I'll go get a new a cartridge of 25 would go in here, and I'll just put this back together and take care of filling that up later. Okay, so that's my Dario. Now to record. So then the next thing I do is go to the Data-Driven Fasting app, touch that to open it. I hit track. I'm going to hit glucose, and I'm checking off before meal, and it's got a time of 12:30 p.m. My value I'm typing in is 86. Depending on what part of the world you're in, you would might have a single digit number in the ones place and then a number in the tenths place, like 4.6 or something. I don't know what 86 is equivalent to in millimoles per deciliter, but that's the measurement that the rest of the world uses. The U.S. uses the milligrams per deciliter, and that's 86 for me. I'm going to rate my hunger as, I'm feeling pretty hungry, so I'm going to rate it as a 3. And I'm not going to put any notes down, and I do need to hit the blue record button or else the data will not be entered. Okay, and it says here, record glucose. 1 more day of recording until you get your trigger. Close. So right now, it's showing me that, I don't know, I wish I could count on the screen showing up. Okay, it's showing NA, so I don't have a trigger yet. Let's see what happens if I tip it this way. I can't show you the rest of the screen unless I turn the camera around. Maybe I'll do that here. Let's see that. Okay, I turned the camera around so I can see it and show you what is on my screen here on my phone. So I weighed 142.2. It's not going to show the point value. Just if it were 142.5, it would bump me up to saying I was 143. But that's the weight today. That was my waking glucose, 80 this morning, which is nice waking glucose. it's showing my last pre-meal number was 86 milligrams per deciliter. And my post-meal, that's from yesterday. So I don't know what my post-meal is going to be. But I can also show you, navigate, that I can show you the history of the numbers that have been entered in. Let's do that. And so there, that's that 86 that I just entered in, hunger 3, before meal. Well, my sister's message came through. You don't need to see that. Okay. And then that was my waking glucose this morning, and there was my weight that I recorded, 142.2. So that's that. Now that I've taken my pre-meal number, it's time to go decide what I'm going to have for that meal. And again, because I'm in the 3 days of baselining, I should just eat as normal and not try to push myself to have perfection yet. This is a recording of real life as it is, and then I get my trigger, and then I can work towards making better choices. I suppose I could use today as an excuse to completely make bad choices, but I'm not going to do that either. So now I'm going to go figure out my lunch. This is what I came up with for lunch. I wanted to start with some vegetables, and that idea is based upon the teaching from Jesse Inchauspé. I will put a link to her content. She's known as the glucose goddess. So I'll put a link to her content in the description box of this video. But I started by eating the Persian cucumbers, and then I moved on to the Nucci greens, and that's the salad shown in the top left corner. I'll put a link on Nucci greens and the teaching information for that particular item that I'm eating. And then I enjoyed 2 generous pieces of Chicago deep dish style pizza. Now, choosing that means I was choosing to eat carbs and fats together, 2 fuel sources if you're Trim Healthy Mama, 2 energy sources if you're being taught by Marty Kendall of optimizingnutrition.com. So that was a very fuel tank filling meal. And that reminds me, I will go ahead and put a link to Marty's teaching about our fuel tanks in the description box of this video. This is an image of what you'll see if you use that link in the description video to get to Marty's article. He teaches that we have to draw down our blood glucose tank before we can start drawing down from our other fuel tanks to eventually get to burning our stored body fat. And again, that article is in the description box. I'm trying to load up my video description boxes with resource links for you to follow so that you can learn about the things that I'm sharing in this 30 days of challenge.